An introduction to surfacing the Creo mouse. First of all, start Creo Parametric 2. When the program starts, maximize the page. We can then select the working directory. Select working directory. You will have to navigate to the shared area. I'm working on my desktop. Create yourself a folder. I've called this one AUEA Mouse 2015. Once it's selected, say OK to it. Let's start by creating a new part. Select New. I'm going to name this one mouse_master. If you take off the tick next to Use Default Template, say OK to it, ensure millimeters, kilos and seconds is selected. mmks. If it's not, select it here. Then say OK to it. This will ensure that we are working in millimeters and not inches. The mouse is to be created using surfaces. We're going to start with the base of the mouse. Let's do this by selecting Sketch. Select the top datum plane. Say Sketch. There are many ways to do this simple sketch. This is to be the base footprint of the mouse. The simplest way is to draw two center lines. I'm now going to select a circle and let it snap to the center line running up the page anywhere. Left click once, move the mouse out, left click again to complete the circle. Middle mouse or go to the select arrow will complete the circle and give you some values. At the moment we have a weak diameter and also a weak distance off the center. Let's select this distance, double click it, change this to 55, enter. At the moment we have the diameter. Let's go and change this to a radius. This is done by selecting the normal command, hover over the circle, left click once and middle mouse. Change this value to 20, enter. If you now refit, it zooms in. We can now come and put some points onto the circle that we can trim back to. Go to Point, let it snap to the edge of the circle anywhere and left click, middle mouse. Now while the point is selected, we can mirror it. If it's not selected, click and drag, go to Mirror, and because we have the center line, it will allow us to mirror across the point, giving us 2 points. I now want to set a distance between the 2 points. Back to normal, left click once onto the 1 point, once onto the second point, and then middle mouse in space, which will give me a value. This value type in 30, enter. Because we have these points on here, we can now trim or delete segments up to these points. Select Delete Segment, hover over the lower part of the arc, left click once, hover over the opposite side, left click again, and this should now leave you with the back end of the mouse or this arc here. Middle mouse will take us out of the Delete Segment command. And let's repeat this exercise for the front of the mouse. Go to Circle, let it snap to this center line or reference line, left click once and draw a circle out. Make sure it doesn't snap to anything. Just bring it out and left click again. Middle mouse will give you the values. Change the diameter to be a radius, go to normal, left click on the arc and middle mouse. Change this one to 60. Enter. This time I want to create an overall distance between the back of the mouse and the front of the mouse. So I'm going to, while I'm still in my normal command, I can select the rear arc and the front of the arc. Move into space and then middle mouse. And this will give me a value of the overall length. Change this to 105. Enter. And again, we can now put 2 points onto the arc. Select the point command. Move it down onto the arc somewhere, not allowing it to snap, but to just put it anywhere here. Left click once. Middle mouse. If it's still selected, you can mirror it straight away. If not, drag a box. Go to mirror, and again select the center line that runs through the center of the mouse. Left click it, and note the point gets mirrored. We now want to put a value between the 2 points. Go to normal, select the 1 point, select the second point, move the cursor into space, middle mouse. Set this to 45, enter. Again, we can come back to our trim command or delete segment, select it. This time you will need to get rid of this section, this section, this section, and this section. If I turn off all the datum planes, and click away in space, you can now see the 2 arcs. I'm going to spin the view so I'm looking directly onto it with sketch view. Refit. I'm now going to create an arc between the 2 points and then mirror it also to complete the footprint of the mouse. Go to arc, left click once. Let it snap to the endpoint, left click. Let it snap to the other endpoint, left click, and bring a curve somewhere here, not allowing it to become tangents. Middle mouse away will give me the values back. Change the radius to 200. Enter. Click away from it to deselect it. We can now select the newly formed arc, select it, and again back to mirror. Select the vertical center line, and your view should become filled as the other side of the arc is put in place. Click away from it to deselect it. Control D will rotate the sketch, green tick to accept it, and click away in space to deselect it. We now want to fill this sketch, so hover over it, left click onto it to reselect it, and we can now go to the fill icon. Select it, and it automatically fills the sketch. Note the sketch has gone grey, which has hidden it. Click away from it to deselect it. This blue colour shows that the part is a surface with 0 thickness. Save the part. Say OK. This ends the first video.